Austin,
Yes.
it's that time for another episode of 40k Fanatics podcast. Nurgle's rot has come for me.
That's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, I spent the week in Vegas doing some piano shows, and I have ejected a few nurglings out of my snoot.
It's never a good thing.
They ran off to infect the wifey. I think they've done so. I am sleepy. I am medicine-y, but we are here. And the bits box is going to be real thin today because I left the day after we recorded the last pod. But the openings of the comms channel will be quite juicy. So we will go ahead and look at that as we open up the Vox Channel, I think is what we called it, right?
Open the Vox Channel.
There we go. You're not ill. You have energy. This is where we read your comments from previous podcasts. And the way that our sort of recording and release cycle goes, these are all coming from YouTube. If we get some on any other platform, we will let you know. And you need to let us know by putting them there, such as on Spotify, on any other place that you get your podcast for free. Even over on X at 40k Fanatics. On there, where we have a blue check mark these days. We're very official.
Check us out. We have content there.
Yeah, we got content there where I just sort of try to gently stir the pot of anybody's conversations. But this is where we read a few of the comments, and these are coming from the Did the Internet Ruin 40k, which you guys got charged up about. But I'll read a few. This one comes from Jason Trump 9595. Hot take, they are still supporting them. This is about this is Legends. Sorry, never mind. That was from 2 ago. See, look at me. Terrible. Okay.
Nurgle's influence has strange domains.
I tell you what. This comes from Did the Internet Ruin 40k? Neo Hell Poet. He says, I've had to block so many things to just stop the constant stream of doom and outrage. The people building, painting, and playing are all having fun. When 40k gets stale, hey look, it's AOS, it's Old World, it's Kill Team or Warcry. Online, I've seen the same people complain the game is too expensive and that there's nothing to buy because 40k isn't doing new releases. The actual real-world hobby community is great. People online are almost trying to be miserable, and boy, do they want company. I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look, we've been clear that we're titling these podcasts for violence. That's what we've been doing. And the internet loves violence. Like, they love to come out here and get charged up, and they did. Here is Tanner G with 2 E's at the end. It wasn't the internet. It was... Oh, wait. This one has a TLDR. Too long, didn't read, because it's 3 big chunky paragraphs. He says, 40k became more popular. The number of casual narrative and competitive players has increased as a whole, so we hear about the less desirable parts of our hobby more frequently. He's right, too. Yeah. And I've got one more, I think, maybe 2 more.
A lot of good comments going on.
Yeah, Go Jtron says, heck of a way to have me never come back. We appreciate your patronage.
We'll be back.
Proxy Hammer 1, the internet probably saved 40k, in my humble opinion.
Shout out to Proxy Hammer. I've seen some of his videos before, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's, I think I went and... I responded to that one and then went and checked out that channel. He's neat. Proxy Hammer does things, it appears similar to what we do, except very Eldari focused.
It's a very Eldar niche going on.
Yeah, and man, if you're out here getting it done with Eldar only, then we're going to be okay, aren't we?
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I've got. But feel free to get in the comments and maybe we'll get yours read. And Proxy Hammer, we're here for you because on today's episode, after we get through the truncated bits box. This could be a short episode because my voice is rapidly deteriorating, if you can't tell already. But we're going to talk about the ways that the internet has saved 40k.
Saved it.
We're going to leave the other side of the coin out entirely because we already covered that. See? You see?
This is a positive vibes only episode.
That's right, and no one will listen to it.
I love 40k.
Love it. It's the best game ever.
Perfect. No problems.
No problems whatsoever. Old World is crap, and they should have kept it dead.
I can't wait to buy more Space Marines.
That's right. They should have killed Age of Sigmar as well. They should have, instead of new range, new edition. Now forget that. 40k only, all the time. Match play only. Get out of here with these Crusade books that I love so much. No, I'm playing. Open up that bits box with some sound effects, sir. Hey, that was much better.
Think about getting just a reusable sound effect for this.
I would like you to have a kazoo and maybe a slide whistle and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe an old creaky box that you can crank open so that it makes that sound. Very analog.
What have you done this week?
I went to Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah. I played a slot machine with a $12 million jackpot.
So did you get the 12 million jackpot?
No, I didn't. And I lost $100.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Look, they did not build that entire city of gold-plated towers off of giving folks a bunch of money for nothing. I did play one of the most exclusive golf courses in the world, however, and that was quite nice. Let's see here. I did do a bit of hobbying before I left. I did a batch paint.
Interesting.
I know, because I don't ever do that. I've been in the mode of going hard on an individual Space Marine every single time I paint one for the last 6 months. And because the new Nemesis Claw datasheet came out for my Chaos Space Marines, I had already gotten a couple of Night Lord dudes done off the Nemesis Claw kill team, and so I went ahead and built the remaining 4 that are sort of the specialty guys. I may have talked about this on last week's pod, but...
You did.
Oh. Well, anyway, I got them pretty well done, and they look good. Check them out.
They're very vibrant, as I said last week.
That's it. I'm really enjoying doing stuff with the inks and things. I have Vashtor to build. My pile of shame is very, very small right now. And so I think I may build Vashtor and get started on that. The scheme, the ideas on him is he's quite fleshy for a chaos dude. He's a little bit like a demon prince, but more stringy, very svelty Vashtor. I'm going to try to do him like almost a purpley skin kind of thing. But we'll see. I have an idea of like kind of baking in some shadow colors as, from top to bottom of him. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully he won't look like a series of long islands. But I've got ideas. I've got plans. I'm certainly not doing much this week. How about you?
Well, after completing that giant last week, I started back on dwarves a little bit. I felt like they were a little bit neglected, trying to get those built up. I'm kind of getting a hobby plateau, working through these rangers because of how many little bits I'm having to glue onto them. Having to glue like a buckler and a great axe to them. Not kind of on their person because they're equipped with crossbows, but I have the great axe like slung on their back and the buckler kind of like attached to their belt. Kind of like trying to plastic glue those on kind of like irregular surfaces are a little hard.
Yeah.
Trying to just batch build those is I'm kind of running into a bit of a steam issue, running out of steam trying to get those built.
Yeah, you've got a lot of stuff all at once, which I don't ever like to do that. Which, if you play 40k and your favorite thing is a game, then you get into this like I'm gonna buy a bunch of stuff for the web list and then that means you got to build it right then and paint it right then. But I'm kind of a one box at a time sort of guy. But you've gotten some big old chunky boxes, and I understand that the Kingdom of Man has got you.
The Empire of
the
Man.
Empire of Man they've got you. They've got you, don't they?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It could be a late December or early January release. There's rumors that there's two rumors going around. One that says they're going for sale on January 11th. People aren't sure if that means that that's when they go on sale or if that's when the pre-order starts. Because if that's when they go on sale, it would be a 2 or 3 week pre-order going back into December.
There's no two ways about it. You're about to have 3 Old World armies.
Oh yeah, I'm here for it. I love the Empire. I'm thinking about doing a kind of like a Sigmarite army based in Altdorf, having like warrior priest, witch hunters, some knightly orders, flagellants, and like a mob of just like unruly peasants running around.
You're completely out of control now.
This is a fun game.
But you can have 3 armies. You were like, I'm gonna get goblins, I'm gonna get dwarves. That's it. And then you're like, ooh, but what if I have some of those humies too? And then I saw you in the group chat the other day, like, ooh, what would happen if I went ahead with some of the orcs? Because they were on discount.
Yeah, they were on discount. Empire's always been an interest of mine ever since I first played Total War Warhammer back in 2016 when it released. I actually wanted to get them initially when I was getting into modeling. I wanted to buy some Empire, but at the time, Warhammer Fantasy had like died a year ago. So trying to like pick over the scraps at a hobby shop I was visiting in Hot Springs at the time, I had choice between Ironbreaker dwarves, some Savage orcs, or a box of Graveguard skeletons. And of those 3, I picked dwarves, and that kind of like started my dwarf fascination with that.
That's neat. Have you been keeping up with any of these new Christmas detachments that everybody's getting for 40k?
They are quite fascinating. The one that intrigues me the most is the Custodes detachment, coming as a former Custodes player, seeing a list that really emphasizes things like the Land Raiders, and I know there's other vehicles, but they're all Forge World resin, so they've never really been in my mind for the most part, but the Custodes Land Raiders always been kind of like a black sheep in the Custodes arsenal. And seeing a list that kind of prioritizes taking things like that and buffing them kind of like blew my mind coming from an 8th and 9th edition Custodes player, because those were rarely ever taken.
They've got,
or even begrudgingly taken.
These new detachments seem quite strong, some of them. And
oh yeah,
that has me a little bit worried, because they're like, hey, here's a bunch of stuff. It's real spicy, and I wonder if it's a little bit what we're going to see in the new codexes coming out from here on. Is that power creep that we always know is coming is about to get fully charged up. I mean, I'm kind of excited though, because some of these armies were very stale, and the ones that don't have codexes, their new detachments are wildly different from their index one, which I think is great. Giving you more options to play your stuff.
I think that quite a few of them are fluffy. Some of the fluff is kind of from my point of view, but a few of them, I think they're really kind of like going into more narrative stuff with the detachment kind of, I don't know about restrictions, but additional things you can bring, like the new Knight ones that allow you to bring things like Cultists for the Chaos Knights, and then Imperial Knights can bring Mechanicus with them.
Yeah, that's neat. I like, somebody pointed out that the detachment rule for those Chaos Knights, they're able to sort of absorb damned units, keyword damned units. And it doesn't specify that it has to be your damned units.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so they expect that that'll be FAQ'd pretty quick. But I'm pretty sure that the only damned units are cultists.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the knight can only absorb them or whatever from like 6 inches away. Mm-hmm. To which I say, if I'm playing you and you've got Chaos Knights and I've got some cultists, and I've got my cultists within 6 inches of your knight, it makes sense that you can just suck them up off the table. Like that doesn't feel broken to me in any way. Like, come on now, they're cultists.
Here's the thing. Okay, this comes down to rules as intended versus rules as read, and I'm pretty sure 99.9 repeating % sure it's supposed to be your guys.
Well, yeah, but think about how niche a situation is. It's I'm playing Chaos Space Marines versus Chaos Knights, so it's Chaos versus Chaos, and then my cultists who are just there to sticky objectives in the backfield have got to be within 6 inches of one of your knights. That's not like, and then it does, what, D3 mortals or D3 plus 3 mortals to them. All you do is pick them up if literally anything breathes on them anyway, especially when we're talking about knights shooting at cultists. Like, I hope they leave it alone. It's totally ridiculous.
If I was a Chaos player dealing with this kind of situation you're presenting, and the Chaos Knight player was insisting he can suck up my cultist, I think I would be calling over the tournament organizer. Well, have a look at this.
Well, as someone who will likely be in this scenario, because the only army, I'm a one army guy. No, I'm like, okay, yeah, you suck up my cultists. I mean, look, either you're going to suck up my cultists, or you're going to shoot my cultists dead with literally anything you got, or you're going to stomp over there and step on my cultists, or you're going to battle shock my cultists into oblivion. Like, there's so many ways for you to deal with my cultists that I'm not that upset if one of those ways is that you get to suck them up for some sort of benefit. Here's the other thing. I got 10 of them. I like it. I think it's cool. You know what? I think it's neat how in Old World you have like faction specific interactions.
Yeah.
And of course the Old World tournament people, if there are any, and I can't imagine there are, it is the antithesis of the sort of 40k competitive thing. Largely. But yeah, it's like if you draw dwarves and your goblins or whatever, or is that how it goes? The dwarves hate the goblins?
Dwarves hate orcs and goblins, so they get reroll hit rolls against all of them.
Yeah.
But night goblins specifically have hatred dwarves, so they get to reroll against dwarves.
Okay.
Then you have situations where goblins fear elves, so anytime there's a situation where goblins are fighting elves, elves gain the fear rule for that combat.
Okay, well, there's a good example of one where there's no sort of bite back the other way either. I like that. It makes sense that not everything's good against everything, or that it's not just all flat no matter what. Like it makes sense that it should be scary if something that is designed to murder you is around. Yeah. You would think, it might be that way with orcs versus guardsmen, because the orcs are a big unending pile of dudes. The guardsmen are a big unending pile of dudes, except any one random orc is just ripping humies in half. But I suppose they're very brave. Anyway, that's the bits box. Let's shut that thing.
I was going to say one more thing, at least going on. I just want to touch on it. It's in the news. There might be new developments now that this is going to be released a week later for YouTube, but currently a strike going on with Valejo. Their factory has unsafe conditions and everything going on, so they're on strike right now. So we're not going to touch on it too much besides saying that it's happened. So there might be an issue with procuring Valejo paint, so that's your thing. There's also a boycott going on for a lot of people in the community, but that's just something to keep an eye out for if you're in the market for Valejo stuff.
Yes, we discussed this briefly and decided that you guys would probably not like to hear any of my opinions on labor policy. And so we're on to the main topic. Close that BizBox, sir.
Oh.
Ways that the internet saved 40K. A couple weeks ago we did.
The internet saved 40K?
Yes.
Question mark?
A couple of weeks ago we did the ways that it destroyed, ruined, messed it all up. And today we're going to talk about ways that it has no doubt helped. Now, obviously, there's, it's a double-edged sword in nearly all of these things. And I broadly think that we would be better off as humanity without the internet. But that's not what we're talking about today. Now, I had wanted to do a top 3 list, and you didn't like that. And so what we've got here is, it's a bullet point kind of thing. This had begun life as an OLI, but I've stuck it here as point 1 that we'll chop up.
I just think like a conversation's the best way to go about this.
Yeah, I think so too. But this is the one that I think we can get out of the way right quick.
Yeah.
The worldwide connectivity of the gaming community.
I love my online gaming friends.
I mean, look, obviously the internet facilitated that, and that is good and bad. But we all know that. You know what I mean? We're not going to break any new ground in discussion on, well, on the internet you can find like-minded people involved in the... Everyone knows that. No one's new here. But then you added this one to the list, and this is where we can start chopping stuff up. Fan-made things.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and break that down. What do you mean by that?
So what I mean is that 40K has developed its own meme culture online over the, I'd almost say definitely the past 2 decades of being around online. I know a big proponent of it is the Dawn of War games. Those spawned quite a few memes and YouTube videos and fan animations online using the models. Stuff like YouTube poops and all that. I know that's kind of a rallying point for some people that discovered the game online through the prevalence of memes and all that.
Yeah, I wonder too, those Warhammer games are so... I never even made the connection that they were this. That they were Games Workshop, that they were 40K, that they were a tabletop game. I just thought it was some sort of... I don't know what I thought it was. There was a part that was like, I know it's not Warcraft, like World Warcraft, because they had our real-time strategy games and then became World of Warcraft, the, MMO or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But, then you see Space Marines and all that, which is where GW's advertising dollars are spent, and, that's the behemoth in the industry. And I just always thought, what is the connection between these two things? But it was enough of a, tacit connection that at least Warhammer, the phrase, became, in the lexicon of, the internet.
Oh, yeah. My first exposure to Warhammer, before I even really knew what Warhammer was through a Warhammer meme I had seen posted in something else.
That's interesting. Do you put 3D printing and the ability, the sort of cost-effective access to models into this too?
I would put that in a separate position. This is more about cultural stuff, like spreading ideas,
like the virality of this whole thing.
Yeah, stuff like before it was taken over by Games Workshop, stuff like Astartes, the animated fan project. Text to speech? That I know that has its own fan base. It's a 40K derivative. Just all kinds of stuff. I'm sure there's fan fictions online, fan made chapters that have gained a following. Stuff like the Angry Marines and just all kinds of just culture that has been created around 40k that has like propagated the idea of 40k and gotten people they're not necessarily playing the game, but like they know what 40k is, and they might just ingest this stuff. They might not even into the game side of it. They might read some Black Library. It's definitely opened up people's minds to 40k. Consuming this kind of stuff.
So we were in the green room backstage for one of the shows this weekend, and some folks came in who are friends with the management company, and this guy and his girlfriend, they were wearing $600 shoes and things, and they sat down and got talking to me, and I told them I had a podcast, and she said, "What's it about?" And I started explaining the very top level, what the heck is a tabletop board game / Warhammer, etc. And she's looking at me like I got two heads, but she looks at her dude and she's like, "Have you heard of that?" And he's like, "I have heard of that, but I didn't know what it is." And these people, they're spending their time flying all over the country to go to they're going to Burning Man, or they're popping down to Vegas whenever they feel like it, or they're going up to Seattle to I don't know what, rich folk stuff. And yet, somewhere, Warhammer is in his head, where he's like, "Yeah, they got like fantasy stuff, right?" He said, "Is it a Space Marine at one point?" I'm like, "Yes, you're on it."
That's all you've got to say. It's Space Marine. People online have heard of a Space Marine.
Yeah, even if it's not even the Space Marine from the right IP. But if ever you need to get somebody over the bridge, it's like, well, I've heard of Space Marines from what is it? Oh gosh, what's the '80s movie with all the bugs?
Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, Space Marines. And then you say, "Well, look at these." You show them the big blue guy. It's like, okay, whatever that is, I can rock with that. I had another point on my thing, and I think we've got a good segue into it with just this like vast awareness of the thing. Is I've got everyone can play, and this is talking about Tabletop Simulator.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
yeah, I know. It was one thing I had seen. Go ahead. My thing's gonna be separate.
Yeah, so pre-internet, the only way you'd get to try this thing is if you went into a friendly local game store and found somebody that would do a demo game. Or if you had a buddy that had enough stuff to run too. The other thing with that kind of stuff is not everybody's a great teacher, so your experience would vary. I understand that the GW store, the Games Workshop stores would do this, and they probably did I'm sure they did a much better job. It's almost like a golf pro giving lessons, like your buddy can teach you some stuff, but someone who does this over and over and over is going to be better than someone that does it once or twice.
Or a dealer offering a fix.
Yeah, exactly. So the Tabletop Simulator has let anybody that wants to try it out. You get, it's what, $20 for Tabletop Simulator. You stick all the mods on.
It goes on sale all the time.
It does go on sale all the time. Now, I've played it, and I don't like it much.
Now, I tried playing a match of, not necessarily 40k, but I played Flames of War on it, and I did not like not having any tactile feedback for trying to move stuff or roll dice. It felt like I was fighting the engine.
Yeah, same
constantly.
Thing. It's like you go to move your guys, and it measures for you, but it kind of doesn't, and it also measures to like the 10th of an inch, and so at once it's hard to move the stuff because if you grab a whole group, they're sort of in the shape that they are, but then by the time you move them, the terrain's in the way, so that you end up having to move stuff one by one. And it's just like everybody's very, very exacting, so it's very video gamey.
Yeah.
While not being a very good video game, but then also because it's so exacting, it doesn't really jive with the way that the tabletop game actually works,
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, look, we're holding a tape measure over the top of this thing at whatever angle. Like, we're all just we're just getting close enough. But then Tabletop Simulator, it's like,
Oh, sorry, you're
5.9 inches.
A fraction of an inch, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, hey, back that up. It's like, oh, come on, man. These things keep on. Yeah. Whoa. They keep flipping over when you try to set them down near the terrain, and it's like, God dang it, I can't even get the guy to sit there.
Model falls off the table, falls into an infinite loop portal.
Yeah.
But that happens on the tabletop.
But if you're challenged for funds, or you just like that kind of thing, then it's there, and that would not be there without the internet for sure. I mean, there's another thing too, and again, we're trying to be positive on this one. I feel like pre-internet, this social anxiety thing that everybody talks about, which I mean, you might as well be talking about unicorns to me, because my head doesn't possess it. But the going into the game store and not knowing what you're talking about and asking questions was a challenging thing for people. And now you can get on there and creep on the forums, on the Discords, and get your feet under you before you actually participate in the thing. And that's probably good for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Not everybody's a psycho like me. So says my wife. My wife, you had another thing. Did you lose it between now and then?
Possibly.
So I've got here another one on my bullet list is the internet lets you find out what's good. So this one's a more game specific kind of thing. You know, we talked on the Internet Ruin 40k how much the competitive scene has a voice online, and I think broadly that's bad. But if you're interested in that, then that's really good, because you can go and just find the answer to the puzzle. You don't have to buy everything. You don't have to try everything. You don't have to just dig this out of the dirt all on your own. You know,
yeah, the internet's like one big calculator going on. You've got so many brains going on that are looking at the same thing you are, and they're all doing their own little math with it, doing the math hammer, and eventually one's going to find the solution to the puzzle, and then everyone can just adapt to it.
Yeah, and you know, as soon as everybody does adapt to it, then the solution changes, because the thing is, I mean, it's not infinitely complex, but it is ever evolving in the way that the meta goes. And
they'll slap on a new FAQ.
Yeah, and they slap on a new FAQ because you guys can't leave anything alone, and we'll find the broken stuff, and then they got to go and stop that, and then you got to go look for more broken stuff.
And some people just like that. They love being like, okay, I have this problem of how do I take on this meta with this army? And they're like, okay, I'm going to crunch all these numbers, and oh look, if I spam like 14 chickens, then I can win the game. Yeah, and they enjoy doing that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I say as I hold my Walmart smiley face button. Positive vibes only.
Positive vibes only. You know, it's funny too, because I went to Vegas to play some piano. There are a lot of guitar players, especially, who they're like, I've never had a lesson, they say proudly. And I'm like, well, how'd you learn this thing? And they're like, I just noodled in my room for years. And then you try to play in a band with these people, and they're incapable of communication because they never learned any sort of language of the thing that they do, right? And it's like, well, okay. You know, most of modern society, they say that we're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Bach and Beethoven and all these guys figured this stuff out a long time ago, and it is now available for you to reference, to research, to quickly internalize so that you may build upon it, right? And that is what the internet does well for 40k, for instance. As soon as a new edition comes out, the whole of the internet proceeds to hive mind this thing, and then you can, as someone who wants to be good at the game, pick the right stuff, etc., can get on there and absorb from these experts and jump ahead quite quickly from people who are just playing in their garage with the uneroded rulebook.
There's the tournaments are always releasing new data over like what's winning, what's losing. You can track these things super easily.
Yeah. Now, while we try to maintain our positivity about how these are good things, it's kind of what you want, right? If that's what you want, if you want the complexity to be taken out a bit by the fact that it can just easily be referenced on the internet, then that's really good. I think that something like a tabletop war game where there's not really a right answer, in my opinion, it's best if done sort of out of the dirt like a caveman. At least that's how I have fun with it.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like, I guess, being able to like spend time and look at things and experiment and try to find my own way around things. If I find a combo that's really good, I'm like, oh wow, I found that all on my own. I didn't have to search like 19 Reddit threads about that.
Yeah.
Some people want that, and that's okay.
That's right. And without the internet, we wouldn't have that option. And options are good. I've got one more point, and then maybe we'll wrap this up and give my nurgly throat a rest. And this is probably how the internet saved 40k. Unless you've got another spot that you'd like to insert. But I'm going to hit you with it. You can buy the stuff from anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Our friendly local game store has quite a bit of 40k stuff. They don't have all of it, but they've got a lot of it. The one in the town that you live, very little 40k stuff. If it were not for the internet, if you were let's play this out the way that it would have played out in 1985 or something, right? You're 10, you see a game store, maybe you think it's just a toy store. Your parents walk you through it. You see this little smattering of stuff. You might think that's all there is. Somebody else would pop into theirs, same situation, and they've got nearly all of it. But you and me are living two different lives, right?
Possibly. I think there may have. Sorry, coming at this from like a point of privilege of having already access to the internet and all that, in a place of ignorance. But I would bet there probably would have been catalogs.
If I'm 10, I'm not looking through a catalog. Catalog? You want me to look at pictures and flip through pages? That's a book, bruh. I don't care about no book. I'm 10. I want a box of dudes all painted up on the front. And I'm going to be shocked when I open it up and find that they're all flat gray plastic, but the dream will be there. But the internet has got it where, what do I want? And you go out and get it. And if there's one thing that Games Workshop is always, it's ever present in the Games Workshop ethos and in this hobby. And it is that it is a miniatures company. They're always a company, right? It's the Games Workshop company, corporation, publicly traded thing, right? It is about commerce, capitalism, making money. That's why we all complain all day long about how expensive the stuff is.
Man, I'm still trying to figure out how to buy me some Games Workshop stock.
I think it's publicly traded. It may not be. I don't know.
It is. I'm just trying to figure out how to get that on Fidelity.
Oh, I can find you that. I've got Schwab, and you can call them. But I mean, you mentioned your privilege just a minute ago. Now we're talking about stocks, which, by the way, we are not in any way financial analysts or anything, and any advice or information given here is strictly for entertainment purposes only.
We are only experts in toys.
That's right. We're experts in toys, and some in the comments would say we're not even very good at that. But some of y'all are listening, and we appreciate you. But again, this is how the internet has saved 40K. I cannot imagine how difficult it must have been to sell this plastic crack door to door, essentially, by mail to game stores, who then would have this stock on their wall, who would then have to create a community out of the air from nothing to try to get the next person to walk in to be the third man to buy in, right?
Yeah.
And that's nuts. How many people right now are buying stuff straight off the GW website, building it up? They haven't even played a game yet, and then they rock up to their friendly local game store like, "Hello, strangers! I've got a bunch of stuff, and I'm ready to
hey, store
do this
owner,
thing."
here's my whole army I purchased online and didn't give you any money for. Can I play here?
Well, that is the other side of that coin. But how else you gonna know?
Yeah.
But from GW's perspective, it's 100% the thing that, like, if it ever needed saving, the fact that internet commerce exists has done it.
Yeah. How are we looking on time? Because I had one more topic.
40 minutes. You got 5.
Okay. What you brought up earlier and we didn't touch on was the 3D printing aspect of everything. Yeah.
A little bit of the opposite of what I just said.
Yeah, power to the people in this point. Where you're able to go online and find numerous things that people have just created online through like Blender and 3D sculpting and everything. And you can find that and go, I want that. And if you have a 3D printer, you can just, boom, make it. They got units you can build or print. You got terrain. That's a big thing, terrain. You're no longer having to do like coffee cans and soda cans and like books under blankets anymore. You can just go, I want some 40k terrain. Go online, find someone with an STL of 40k terrain, pop it into your printer. A couple hours later, you've got a whole set of 40k terrain to play with.
The terrain is the real one. Like we can quibble about the sort of validity, the worth doing edness, the sort of commerce, if you will, of 3D printing a whole army, especially for free, when you're not even paying for the STLs and things. I think that's probably a topic for another pod, which will definitely get people charged up. But the terrain is a man without a country. Like, yeah. I wish GW did more terrain, like sensible.
They used to have, yeah.
They used to have a few different boxes of ruins, and I thought those were great. They look great. The homie Craig still has them when we play with them, and they are not the current sort of matched play terrain meta. But
not the Tetranomes.
Yeah, they're not the paintball course. But I'm like, dang it, GW! Why don't you just release a box of paintball course or a multiple different stylized ruins and things of that nature? And look, I know those flat sort of, like, I mean, those terrain is the flattest bunch of sprue you can ever get. Like, it doesn't need to cost that much. Like, throw us a bone on the terrain. You're gonna make a ton of money because everybody wants it for their house. Everybody wants some terrain. Like, yeah. The 3D printing terrain is huge. It's a cottage industry of just, every YouTuber that you see has got STLs, usually for terrain and terrain adjacent stuff that come with their Patreon. And I don't know, at some stage I'm going to have to get a big old 3D printer to get some terrain because they're really missing a trick, and I don't know why. But the internet gives us options for that, and the internet gives you the option to talk back so that we can open the Vox channel and scream your comment to all of our many listeners, and there's ever more of you. Be sure to like and subscribe 40K Fanatics to 40K Fanatics podcast. Check us out on X, where you can see the Whip Wednesday and the Bits box and discuss what you want. They're on. We will see you next time. I've been Shane. That's Austin. Stay fanatical, folks.